Hey guys. Well, as you saw in the title, it's truck buying season. And yep, I am very confident that honestly probably the vast majority of you will be unhappy with the decision I made on what truck to buy, and you'll tell me I'm an idiot and it's junk, and I can only imagine. We'll just keep going with it, and I'm gonna ignore all those comments, and well, I might not ignore them, but I'm gonna not let it sway my decision, mostly because I've already made it and the deal's done, and by the time you watch the video, the truck will have been in my possession for I don't even know how long. But regardless, I am buying this truck. So you're gonna go on this soiree with me. So my dad and my middle daughter are going with me. It's a Wednesday right now. We're hopping on a plane tomorrow morning, and we are flying to the great state of Texas, and we're gonna spend a couple 3 days driving back from the great state of Texas in this truck, in my new rig. I know it's a little bouncy, but walking from the hotel to stop by the old Speedway here and grab some coffee. But man, it's about 6 a.m. Beautiful view into the foothills over there. And I think that's we're looking into Mexico. That's what that is. So we'll get this truck, get the deal done, pick it out, and turn and burn north for New Mexico. Well, I probably look a little tired because we got in about 3:30 in the morning last night, pushed pretty hard on the last leg of the trip, but slept in, which is something I don't do, but obviously needed to, and yeah, we made it back safe and sound with the truck. Little to no issues. It was just a nice little drive, so let me show you this thing. Now I'll tell you, I did not do much filming on this trip, and I'll give you the reasons why. One, my dad and my middle daughter went with me, and obviously we were talking and hanging out and doing normal things besides filming. But also we were under the gun, so we departed. Our first flight took off at 10:55 a.m. on a Thursday, and I'm filming this on Sunday at about 11 a.m. So we are basically exactly 72 hours later, and we flew to Chicago, on to El Paso, spent the night, bought the truck Friday morning, and made it back by 3:30 a.m. Sunday. And that's 1,800 miles and change. So yeah, we were a little busy. We were running, we were cooking. So anyway, that's why there's not much video, but you saw a little bit of the trip there, and now I'm going to show you the truck that, again, just like the title says, I think a lot of you aren't going to like it, but you know what, it's my truck and I fucking love it. So here she is. All right, folks, there she is. This is my new to me 2012 Volvo VNM. So I'll give you a little bit of a rundown on what this truck is, and then I'll give you a rundown on the why. So what it is like I say, 2012. This is a 650,000 mile truck. I bought this with 649 on the clock. Obviously after the drive it has 651 and change. I bought it for a number of reasons. One, well, the first few reasons were my must-have list. It had to be a mid-roof Volvo. There was no negotiation going on that. We were going to buy a mid-roof truck. Had to have D13 Volvo power. The last requirement wavered a little bit, but I went between an automatic and a manual, and I settled on a manual, actually. Didn't think I would. I thought I was going to go automatic and really piss you guys off, but I just decided I wanted a manual trans, just for the fun of it, basically. I would actually rather drive the automatic on these longer runs, but I just thought I'd regret it if I went automatic. And so those were my requirements. What I got along with it that made me fly to El Paso, Texas to buy this truck in particular was it's a super single truck, which I love. I love it. For what I need, that's awesome. What I didn't even know the truck had until I got physically to see it, because the pictures hadn't shown it, is that box. That's an aluminum. That is a 4 foot by 2 feet deep by 2 feet high storage box, side box. That is awesome. The stuff I can put in to go to truck shows. I mean, that's plus I have obviously sleeper storage. So anyway, I digress. Those were important things to have. And the other thing I found when I got to this truck that's pretty awesome, I'll show you here as we come around a little later, but I'm pretty pumped about it in particular. But anyway, like I said, had to have D13 power. I needed it to be relatively clean, and this truck is that. Has little to no rust. This truck has lived its entire life in the greater El Paso area. So this thing hauled building materials back and forth across the border, basically. And according to the seller, about a 200-mile radius of El Paso is all it went. So they didn't even need sleeper trucks. So this was a part of a one of 4 in the fleet. In the last few months, they've sold all of these that were give or take identical specs, and they've replaced them with day cabs because they just don't need the sleeper. So that's cool, because they're not totally beat up. Obviously, it's a 13, 14-year-old sleeper truck, so yes, it needs some panels, fixed up and cleaned up and tightened up, but other than that, it's in relatively good shape. So there's that. But the rest of the spec is what you see. Let's go around and check it out. So we've got, again, super single setup, which is pretty awesome. Super singles with a lot of meat left on them, so I'll replace these because they're date coded out is what's going to happen. Obviously Volvo Air Ride bushings are all in good shape. Everything's dry. These are 342 rear ends. Brakes are in great shape. Not 100%, but I put them at about 80% linings, front and rear. Just a basic road tractor setup. Aluminum hubs, so she's lightweight out back, very, very lightweight. Volvos aren't the lightest trucks in the world because they're steel cab trucks, but we do have Air Ride cab, obviously. We have the brown interior, which I love. Not a gray and black interior kind of guy. And for those in the know, the VNM differs from the VNL in that it was a regional truck. So it's about, I think it's 11 inches shorter up front. And most of that, some of it was made up right there where the fender wells pushed back a hair, but most of it was made up in the front end. It just has less front overhang than what the VNL has. Same drivetrains. Well, actually, I take that back. The VNM was factory. Its base motor was actually the D11, and the D13 was an option. This truck was obviously spec'd with the optional motor. It is slightly lower horse, so this is set at 4.25 horse and 1550 torque, and that torque number is the max for this 10-speed Fuller transmission. So this thing will not be turned up because I'm not gonna blow a trans up over it. It could be turned up to 500 horse and I believe 1950 torque, but we're not going to do that because we want to make this thing live. That's the whole point, is to be cushy and reliable and get us to where we need to go, and some comfort with some options, which is the opposite of what I have in that 1987 Ford L9000. So checking it out, there's the D13. It's had dealer maintenance its whole life. It's dry except for one leak on the side of the motor here, right by the it's coming off right by the filter block. You can't even see it, but I gotta get to the bottom of that and figure it out. Otherwise, this thing is in great shape. Everything looks good, so I'm not too concerned. I mean, the whole way home, she did good on. Oh, we got a barely a seal leak coming out of that gearbox. I hadn't caught that, but overall, it's in, so far so good. It's in very good shape. She's dry underneath, other than that, like I say, that one oil leak. So everything appears to be in pretty good shape. What else do we got, guys? What else do we got to look at? Oh, the one thing that I was pleasantly surprised by when I got underneath the truck. You see what I see? That's an airbag. We have factory Volvo front air ride with, we've got, there's a dual leveling valve setup, one on each side. And that, my friends, is freaking stellar. That is a really, really cool thing that I found. Steers are in great shape. Tons of tread depth. All 6 tires are date coated. 2021. This steer, I think, though, there's nothing right here, but it's got some just slightly oddball feathering wear, and it felt a little thumpy. So I'm concerned about that tire. I think we've got a broken belt situation, to be honest, in that tire, and she might be getting new steers. Not entirely sure, but I just don't love that. At any rate, but yeah, we've got, apparently I didn't close that door very well. Oh, this is one of the issues. Passenger door does not open from the outside, so I gotta get this latch off. It's either broken or there's just a tab that's off. It opens from the inside just fine. Latch is fine. There's that giant storage box. Came with like 15 straps, so that's cool. Yes, this is an emissions truck. No, it has not been deleted. It also has weed burner exhaust. And you know what? I think it's gonna stay. Part of the reason I love the look of the no fairings. That's, I don't know what it is about it, but I love just a flat cab back look. I do think a headache rack is in the future for this truck, for what I do with it. But, I don't need a stack. It's quiet. It does what it needs to do. This isn't, and even if it's me, so I am gonna obviously play with this thing over time. But I don't think a stack is really in the future for it. I am more into making this thing my usual. I see paint in its future, making her low and lean and clean, but I think I like the idea of bucking the trend and making it be different. And that means, if that means no stack, that means no stack. Clean and modern. And if it pisses a few people off along the way, well, then that's even better. So moving on to the inside, I have to research too. It does have some sort of a factory APU. The prop cylinders are worn out, but it's got I think it's just a heater unit is my understanding, but we've got that, and then because it's got tailpipe, so that means we've got a diesel heater at the very least. So I'm gonna climb over. Let's sit you here first, and let's get this up out of the way. Again, one of the many reasons why, I drove this thing back. I drove this thing back almost 30 hours in this driver's seat in the last 2 days. And you know what? My back didn't hurt. My legs weren't cramped up. I had cruise control. It just is comfortable. So I say 10-speed Eaton Fuller. I don't remember the trans. I think it just says 10-speed up there. So I can't remember, but it's an RTO or RF 1550 something, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't matter. Does have 3-stage Jakes. They're not Jakes. 3-stage engine brake. So that's pretty awesome. Everything works, honestly. Dump valve. I mean, the work lights, everything but the door activated interior lights. Those, probably a bulb on those, but regardless, that's about the only thing I found that doesn't work. CB's been pulled out. But everything's here. Like I say, there's some panels that I need to fix up. Typical used truck. Yeah, that's my dad and my daughter making giant messes in here. But this is the reason why I bought this truck. So that we have room. We've got things falling out of upper cabinets, but we've got zip ties. Well, free zip ties. We've got storage. We've got cup holders. This is not the fridge. No, sorry. I wish it was, but it's just storage. Storage forever. We've got all sorts of stuff. This is the worst of it. This thing has got to be either taken out, which I think is actually the solution, is just to take it out, to be honest with you. But it does have, like I say, bunk heat, and however that radio works, I got to look into that. I don't know, but bunk speakers, everything works. It's all here. It needs a thorough cleaning. But yeah, it's a good working truck. Got air seats on both sides. They're dirty as shit. They are. I think that's actually at one time was a driver's seat. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, that's the size of it, guys. So you can hate me for what I bought, but for my purposes, this thing is going to do the trick. It's perfect for what I need it for, and I don't need. I'll make a few people butt hurt here, but I don't need a Peterbilt 379 to make me feel good about my endowment. I make decisions because they make sense and because they suit my purposes, not to please everyone else. And I think if more people did that, more people would end up with situations in life that suit them better. And this is the one for me. I get kind of tired of going to truck shows and all you see are Peterbilt 359, 379, and 389s, and Kenworth W900s. It gets old, guys. It gets really, really old. There's more to life, and there's more to this hobby. And if that means that we introduce a plastic truck into the mix, then so be it. Because you know what? This is what trucks became. So in 20 or 30 more years, we're going to talk about, I don't mean this truck in particular, but the advances that the trucking industry made and where we went. And it's time to stop living in the past and only embracing one thing that really isn't. Those trucks are great trucks, but they're good at one single thing or a couple things. They're not for everybody, and they're not the be all end all. So, let's open our eyes up a little bit and explore the world and realize that there's more to it than freaking Peterbilt 379s. They're awesome. I love them, but there's more to life, like anything. So That's why we ended up with this truck.
Fucking A.
Alright guys, well, we got her on back out. There we go. So I just took it for a little spin with the trailer. Everything works great, no issues there. It doesn't like the ABS on the trailer, so we've got an ABS fault somewhere. But we're not gonna worry about that right now. I did a bunch of monkeying with the truck today. Didn't really solve a whole lot of problems, but found all the problems and have a list of parts I need. We got some air leaks, we got a leaky crankcase breather, and a door latch part that I need, along with some interior bulbs when we convert to LED. So, and a list of filters. So just some basic stuff we need. Nothing major. I don't like how high that trailer sits. That's a tall fifth wheel, and this truck seems to sit a little high in the back. So I might be adjusting the, plus the rear bags are just really, all the bags are really extended. They don't have a ton of pressure in them, but they're really, really extended. So I am probably going to be playing with the leveling valve arm on the back of this truck, because I would like it to sit a little lower. Which reminds me, since we're about to load this truck on here, we need to be doing that. There we go. Down she goes. A little less bounce in the system is what we need going on. All right, so that's that. Oh yeah, I wouldn't mind if you sat a little more like that. All right, folks, there you have it. That is why I bought that truck. If it fits, it ships. Okay, sorry, I had a 6-year-old who needed some help with signing out of the party we're having tonight on a permission slip. Nothing like a little make-believe. So anyway, everything fits. We got room to spare. I'll be honest with you, I think we could squeeze a golf cart on here if we really wanted to. The only downfall is, and I don't have to do anything with ramps. I mean, the L9000 just sits perfect. So we know basically that when we build this new, we don't want to stretch it any. I did F up my freaking, now that's gonna straighten out real well. Yeah, so definitely gonna go ahead and probably order a new one of those. Nice work, Rob. And we're gonna find a way to hook that up along with a more permanent way to hook these mud flaps up. I think what we can do is just put an eyelet on these and then have some bungees or chains that we keep in the, we'll just get something that's a little more safe than that, but for the time being that works. But yeah, everything works. These mud flaps, I don't know, they're wedged in there. I don't know if they're gonna stay. They may go bye-bye because they're just gonna be problematic. These got shortened, so they're already good to go, no problems. These are problematic on the Lodestar. That's why I keep them flipped like that when I load it. Those may also get shortened, which would solve that problem from needing to happen. Rears are already good to go. So yeah, as you see, everything fits nice and neat. This is a 50,000 GVW trailer, so with twin 20,000 pound axles. So, and we've got a truck that weighs right around 12,000, and a truck that don't really know, but it's not much over, let's call it 11,000. Not very heavy. So we've only got, let's call it 25,000 if you want to be really conservative. So we got 25,000 on the deck, and trailer weighs about 13, 14. So we're 10,000 light. We're good to go. As you saw me measuring over and over and over, we are at 13 foot 7 inches right now with that L9000 sitting. That's with the bags aired up on the Volvo, bags dumped on the L9000. So to the tip of the stacks, we're at 13.7. We're already at about 13.5 to 13.6 on that. I know we clear bridge height, but we did come up. So I will be double checking the Lodestar just to make sure that with the added height of being behind this new tractor that we're not too high. But I think I am going to ever so slightly play with I can't go much because of driveline angles and whatnot, but I think we are going to lower that and try to get maybe 1 inch to 2 inches. And the only thing it'll actually get better once I go to my 225 rubber, 255 rubber that'll eventually happen by next year on the L9000. That'll match that truck, and she'll be on roller skates, and this whole shooting match will be plenty short for bridge height. But yeah, so as you guys can see, that is why we did what we did. Yeah, that looks sweet. All right, well, that's gonna close it out for this video. Yeah, so you can hate me for buying a Volvo. To each his own, right? This suits my needs. And I just took my wife and my 6-year-old for a ride, and they were like, holy crap. It turns on a dime. It's quiet as a mouse. It rides like it's on a cloud. It has all the creature comforts and options, and you name it. So if we want to go out of town to a truck show, that's the truck I want to be in, not that truck. It's great for what it is. It's an awesome, 70s and 80s timepiece. But it's not what I want to go long distance in. We've gotten better as humans at designing and inventing and building things, and in whatever that difference is, 25 years from 1987 to 2012, the world of heavy truck manufacturing came a long way. So appreciate you watching. Hate on me all you want, but I love my Volvo. Y'all take care.